The stars above Geneva sparkled like diamonds against black velvet as Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Council. Her hands trembled slightly as she gripped the podium, but her voice remained steady as she delivered the news that would change humanity forever. "They're here," she announced, her words echoing through the chamber. "The galactic hegemony has accepted our signals and sent representatives." The chamber erupted in murmurs and gasps. After centuries of wondering if we were alone in the universe, humanity had its answer. The hegemony's massive ship hung in orbit like a silver needle piercing the sky, visible even to the naked eye during daylight hours. Admiral James Harrison watched the vessel through high-powered telescopes at Luna Base, his weathered face betraying no emotion. 20 years of military service had taught him to trust his instincts, and something about the hegemony's sudden appearance felt wrong. "Run those scans again," he ordered his crew. "I want to know everything about that ship." The hegemony's representatives, tall beings with iridescent scales and multiple eyes, spoke of peace and cooperation. Their leader, High Executor Zixtal, promised to share advanced technology with Earth in exchange for resources and alliance. "Your species shows great potential," the alien diplomat declared, his translator converting the clicking sounds into smooth English. "We wish to guide humanity into a new age of prosperity." For 6 months, the relationship seemed perfect. The hegemony shared medical technology that cured several forms of cancer. They helped improve Earth's environmental systems and provided faster-than-light travel specifications. Humanity began to dream of the stars. But Admiral Harrison's suspicions grew stronger. His covert intelligence team discovered encrypted transmissions from the hegemony vessel, and the decoded messages painted a disturbing picture. Earth wasn't the first civilization they'd approached this way. Other species had welcomed the hegemony with open arms, only to be systematically stripped of resources and reduced to slave labor. Before Harrison could present his findings to the Council, the hegemony struck. Their diplomatic vessel transformed into a weapon of mass destruction, its hull splitting open to reveal hundreds of fighter craft. Similar ships appeared through quantum gates above every major city on Earth. High Executor Zixtal's face appeared on every screen worldwide, his previous warmth replaced by cold contempt. "Humans," he announced, "you have served your purpose. Your technology has been assessed, your defenses mapped, and your resources cataloged. The hegemony requires your world. Surrender now, and you may survive as productive servants." The attack was devastating, but not complete. Admiral Harrison had prepared for this possibility, dispersing Earth's military assets and developing countermeasures in secret. As plasma weapons rained from the sky, humanity's hidden strength emerged. Advanced bunkers protected millions. Experimental shield technology, reverse-engineered from gifted hegemony tech, deflected the worst of the orbital bombardment. But the cost was still terrible. Cities burned, and the death toll mounted. In the chaos of the first attack, Ambassador Chen found herself trapped in the Geneva complex with a handful of survivors. She watched in horror as the city burned, but her diplomatic training helped her maintain composure. "Send the signal," she commanded the Emergency Communication Center, Protocol Omega. Across the solar system, hidden military installations awakened. Weapons platforms emerged from asteroid bases. Ships that the hegemony had never detected powered up their engines. Harrison's preparations hadn't just been defensive. He'd been building an army. As Earth burned, humanity's counterattack took shape in the shadows. The hegemony believed they were crushing the helpless species. They didn't realize they were awakening a force that would reshape the galaxy. Ambassador Chen stood in the emergency bunker, watching tactical displays through tears of rage. "They thought we were naive," she whispered. "They thought we were weak. But humanity has never been truly tested, not like this. Now they'll learn what happens when you push us too far." Admiral Harrison's voice crackled over the emergency frequencies. "All units, initiate Operation Starfall. Show these bastards what humanity does to those who betray us." The war for Earth's survival had begun. But the hegemony would soon learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or technology. It was in its unrelenting determination to survive, adapt, and overcome any threat to its existence. Deep beneath the Martian surface, in caverns carved by generations of robotic miners, humanity forged its revenge. 3 years had passed since the hegemony's betrayal, and while the alien overlords believed they'd subjugated Earth, they remained unaware of the storm brewing in the shadows of the solar system. Dr. Maya Patel stood before a massive holographic display, her dark eyes reflecting the blueprints of humanity's newest weapon. The quantum phase cannon wasn't just a modification of hegemony technology. It was something entirely new. "The aliens think they understand human innovation," she said to the assembled engineers. "They believe we can only copy and adapt. They're wrong." The weapon utilized principles the hegemony had never considered, combining Earth's particle physics breakthroughs with reversed engineered alien tech. But it wasn't just about creating better weapons. Humanity had learned from its mistakes. In hidden facilities across the asteroid belt, automated factories worked tirelessly, producing ships that incorporated both human ingenuity and stolen hegemony secrets. These vessels weren't the sleek, aesthetic craft the aliens favored. They were practical, brutal machines designed for one purpose: victory at any cost. Admiral Harrison, now bearing more gray in his hair, but no less determined, reviewed the latest intelligence reports from Earth. The hegemony's occupation was thorough but not omniscient. Their arrogance made them blind to the resistance growing right under their scales. "Status report," he commanded, addressing the holographic representations of his global command staff. Colonel Sarah Chen, no longer an ambassador but a key leader in the resistance, spoke first. Her face showed the strain of operating under occupation, but her voice remained strong. "The underground network is complete. 90% of Earth's remaining industrial capacity has been shifted to shadow production. The hegemony thinks we're building agricultural equipment. They're actually getting sabotaged components for their own ships." Dr. Patel's team had discovered a critical flaw in hegemony technology. Their quantum communications relied on principles that could be subtly corrupted. Every piece of tribute technology Earth manufactured contained hidden weaknesses, time bombs waiting to be triggered. In the belt, General Michael Rodriguez oversaw the training of humanity's new space force. "The crews are ready," he reported. "We've run countless simulations using the hegemony's own tactical data against them. When we strike, they won't know what hit them." The human fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Each ship carried multiple AI cores, allowing them to react at speeds impossible for organic crews. The AIs weren't true consciousness. Humanity had learned that lesson from old science fiction, but they were incredibly sophisticated tactical systems. But humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technological. It was psychological. The hegemony believed they understood human nature. They saw a species that had surrendered, that worked in their factories and mines without obvious rebellion. They didn't realize that every human on Earth was part of the greatest deception in history. In occupied cities, humans went about their daily lives, seemingly accepting their fate. But beneath this compliant exterior, information flowed through hidden networks. Children played games that were actually combat simulators. Workers practiced with holographic weapons while appearing to perform routine maintenance. Admiral Harrison's command center received a priority transmission from Luna Base. The message was brief but significant. "Project Phoenix is ready." Hidden in the dark crater of the lunar South Pole, Project Phoenix represented humanity's ultimate insurance policy. A massive fleet of automated warships, powered by miniaturized fusion reactors and armed with weapons that defied conventional physics. They were invisible to hegemony sensors, their existence concealed by technology that turned the moon's magnetic field into the perfect stealth shield. Dr. Patel finalized the last calculations for the quantum phase cannon. The weapon would do more than destroy hegemony ships. It would shatter their understanding of physical laws. "We're ready for field testing," she announced. "The only question is, when do we strike?" The answer came sooner than expected. A hegemony survey ship discovered one of the smaller manufacturing facilities in the Kuiper Belt. They believed they'd found a simple resource extraction operation. Their report to the Central Command was routine, almost dismissive. Admiral Harrison watched the tactical display as the hegemony vessel approached the facility. His face showed no emotion as he gave the order. Initiate containment protocol. No witnesses. The facility, appearing vulnerable and likely defended, was actually a trap. Within seconds, hidden weapons platforms activated. The hegemony ship didn't even have time to transmit a distress signal before it was reduced to atomic particles. But now the clock was ticking. The ship would be missed eventually. The time for hiding was coming to an end. In his command center, Harrison addressed his staff. 3 years ago, they thought they broke us. They thought they understood what humanity was capable of. Now it's time to show them how wrong they were. Initiate Operation Thunderstrike. All units prepare for full mobilization. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden army stirred to life. The greatest military deception in human history was about to be revealed, and the hegemony would learn the true cost of underestimating Earth. The hegemony's primary command station orbited Jupiter's moon Europa, a massive structure of crystalline alloys and quantum-linked processors. High Executor Zixtal stood at its observation deck, his iridescent scales reflecting the gas giant's eternal storms. 3 years of controlling Earth had made him complacent, confident in the hegemony's absolute dominion over these primitive humans. The first warning came from a junior sensor operator. "Sir, we're detecting unusual energy signatures near the Martian orbit." Zixtal dismissed it with a gesture. Another mining malfunction. Have the human overseer flogged for incompetence. But the energy signatures didn't fade. They'd multiplied. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet emerged from its chrysalis. Ships appeared from within asteroids, rose from planetary shadows, and materialized from what seemed to be empty space. The deception was over. Operation Thunderstrike had begun. Admiral Harrison stood on the bridge of the ESS Nemesis, humanity's first true battleship. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Show these bastards what humanity's been working on. The human fleet moved with terrifying precision. Their ships, ugly and brutal compared to the hegemony's elegant designs, carried weapons that defied conventional physics. Dr. Patel's quantum phase cannons fired their first shots in actual combat, and the results exceeded even her expectations. Hegemony vessels simply ceased to exist, their quantum structures unraveled at the subatomic level. Their much-vaunted shields, based on technology they'd thought humans couldn't comprehend, proved useless against weapons that operated on principles they'd never imagined. On Earth, the revolution began simultaneously. In every city, factory, and mining facility, humans dropped their pretense of submission. The sabotaged equipment they'd been producing for years activated its hidden protocols. Hegemony systems crashed, weapons backfired, and communication networks dissolved into chaos. Colonel Chen led the ground assault on the primary control center in Geneva. Her forces moved with practiced precision, using tactics they'd rehearsed in secret for years. "Remember," she transmitted to her troops, "every minute we fought back in silence, every humiliation we endured. Today we make it count." The hegemony guards found themselves facing humans who moved like ghosts, using combat techniques developed in hidden training facilities. Their weapons, which they'd thought were safely locked away from human access, had been secretly modified. When they tried to fire, their guns overloaded, becoming useless chunks of metal. High Executor Zixtal watched in growing horror as his command display filled with red alerts. "Impossible," he hissed. "They're savages. We broke them. We control them." "No," came Admiral Harrison's voice, broadcasting on all frequencies. "You never controlled us. You never broke us. You just taught us patience." The Nemesis emerged from Jupiter's shadow, leading a fleet that dwarfed anything the hegemony had stationed in the solar system. Harrison's voice continued, cold and precise. "For 3 years, You thought you were watching a defeated species. You were actually watching humanity prepare for this moment. Dr. Patel's voice joined the broadcast from her command center on Mars. Your greatest mistake was giving us access to your technology. You thought we could only copy, never innovate. You didn't realize we were taking your science apart and rebuilding it into something you couldn't understand. The quantum phase cannons fired again, and entire squadrons of hegemony ships vanished from space. Their crews didn't even have time to scream. The weapons didn't just destroy. They rewrote the laws of physics in localized areas, making it impossible for matter to exist in its current form. On Earth, Colonel Chen's forces breached the Geneva Control Center. The hegemony officials inside found themselves facing humans who moved with deadly efficiency, using combat techniques developed through years of secret training. Their supposedly superior alien technology proved useless against weapons specifically designed to counter them. High Executor Zixel's command station shuddered as human ships surrounded it. His elite guard prepared for a last stand, but they never got the chance. The station's quantum processors, built with components manufactured by subjugated humans, executed their hidden programming. Every system crashed simultaneously. In the darkness of his powerless command center, Zixel received one final transmission from Admiral Harrison. You came to Earth expecting to find easy prey. Instead, you found humanity. Remember that in whatever hell your species believes in. The quantum phase cannons fired one last time. The massive command station, pride of the hegemony fleet, unraveled into its component atoms. Operation Thunderstrike had succeeded beyond all expectations, but it was only the beginning. As reports of victory flowed in from across the solar system, Admiral Harrison addressed his fleet. Phase 1 is complete. Earth is free. But the hegemony empire stretches across hundreds of worlds. They've enslaved countless species, destroyed countless civilizations. Today, we showed them humanity's power. Tomorrow, we show them humanity's justice. The fleet regrouped, preparing for their next phase. The hegemony had awakened something they couldn't control. Humanity's relentless drive, not just for survival, but for righteous vengeance. The galaxy was about to change forever. The Centauri system burned with the light of battle. 6 months after Earth's liberation, humanity had brought the fight to hegemony space. The ESS Nemesis led a fleet of warships toward a massive orbital complex, a processing center where the hegemony kept slaves from a dozen different species. Admiral Harrison watched the tactical display as Dr. Patel's latest innovation took effect. The quantum disruption field spread like a wave through space, selectively targeting hegemony technology. Their ships stuttered and died. Their weapons fell silent, but the slave transports and civilian vessels remained untouched. All ships, commence liberation protocols. Harrison commanded. Remember, we're not just here for revenge. We're here to free the galaxy. The human fleet had grown. Ships constructed in the newly revealed shipyards of Mars and the asteroid belt joined vessels captured and repurposed from the hegemony. But humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their superior technology. It was their message of freedom. Colonel Chen, now General Chen, led the boarding parties. Her teams breached the orbital complex with practiced efficiency, but this time they weren't just fighting. They were saving lives. In the processing center's main hall, they found thousands of beings from dozens of species. Some were humanoid, others completely alien, but all bore the marks of hegemony oppression. Among them were the Arxians, a crystalline species whose natural technological aptitude had made them prized slaves. An Arxian elder, their crystalline form dulled by years of captivity, approached Chen. You're human. They asked through a translator. We heard rumors, stories of a species that broke free. We didn't dare believe. Chen smiled, extending a hand in what had become a universal gesture of friendship. Believe it, Earth remembers what it means to be enslaved. We're here to ensure no one suffers that fate again. On the Nemesis, Dr. Patel worked with freed Arxian engineers, combining their crystalline computing expertise with human quantum technology. "Your people understand systems we've only theorized about," she told them. "Together, we can create defenses the hegemony can't overcome." The liberation of the Centauri complex marked a turning point. Word spread through the hegemony's slave networks. Humanity wasn't just fighting for themselves. They were offering freedom, alliance, and a chance for revenge. The Arctians were the first to formally join Earth's alliance, but others quickly followed. The Valerians, master pilots whose organic ships had been twisted into hegemony weapons. The Cathar, warriors whose honor-bound society had been shattered by slavery. Each brought unique strengths, and each burned with the desire for justice. High Command received a priority transmission from deep space. A hegemony defense fleet had been destroyed not by human weapons, but by their own slave soldiers rising up with smuggled Earth technology. The rebellion was spreading faster than even Harrison had hoped. In a secure conference room on the Nemesis, representatives from 24 species gathered. The Archean Elders' crystals now shone with renewed purpose. For centuries, the hegemony kept us divided, convinced each species that they were alone in their suffering. Humanity showed us the truth and gave us the means to fight back. General Chen addressed the assembly, her voice carrying the weight of Earth's experience. "We remember what it means to be betrayed, to be thought weak and primitive. Every species here has suffered under hegemony rule. Together, we can end their tyranny forever." The alliance grew stronger with each liberation. Human quantum technology combined with Archean crystals created communication systems the hegemony couldn't intercept. Valerian organic ships, freed from their chains, proved deadly when equipped with Earth's weapons. The Cathar's warrior discipline merged with human tactical innovations to create unstoppable strike forces. But the hegemony wasn't defeated yet. Reports arrived of massive fleet movements, of resources being pulled from every corner of their empire. They were preparing for a counterattack that would make their assault on Earth look mild in comparison. Admiral Harrison studied the intelligence reports with his new allies. The hegemony was gathering a force larger than any in their history, drawing ships and weapons from across their territory. They meant to crush not just humanity, but any species that dared to resist. "Let them come," Harrison told the assembled War Council. "They still think this is about military might, about technology and numbers. They haven't learned that their greatest weakness is their own tyranny. Every world they strip for resources, every species they enslave for this attack, they're just creating more allies for us." Dr. Patil unveiled her latest project, developed in collaboration with Archean and Valerian scientists. "The Quantum Resonance Network," she explained. "It will allow our ships to coordinate across vast distances, sharing targeting data and tactical information instantly. The hegemony's fleet strength won't matter if they can't match our coordination." As the Alliance prepared for the coming battle, General Chen worked with liberation cells on dozens of worlds. The hegemony's slave armies were being armed with sabotaged weapons, their ships fitted with hidden programs. When the time came, their own forces would turn against them. The hegemony taught every species in this room about pain, about loss, about the cost of trust. Chen told her diverse team of resistance leaders, "Now we teach them about unity, about the strength that comes from fighting not just for revenge, but for freedom." The stage was set for the largest battle in galactic history. But this time, humanity wouldn't fight alone. They had awakened something the hegemony had never expected. Hope. And hope, combined with human ingenuity and the strength of a dozen liberated species, was about to reshape the galaxy forever. The void between Hegemony Prime's 3 suns blazed with the light of 10,000 ships. The largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history faced the combined forces of Earth's alliance. On the bridge of the ESS Nemesis, Admiral Harrison watched the enemy armada with steady eyes. "They've committed everything," General Chen reported from her command ship. "Every battle-capable vessel in hegemony space, just as we predicted." The hegemony's supreme commander, Vorkath himself, broadcast across all frequencies. His voice dripped with contempt. "Humanity, you've caused enough chaos in our ordered galaxy. Your primitive species and your slave allies will learn the price of defiance." Dr. Patel's voice cut through the transmission from her position in the Alliance's mobile research hub. "Quantum network synchronized. All ships are connected. They can't detect it, and they can't stop it." The hegemony fleet was massive, dwarfing the Alliance forces, but size wasn't everything. Hidden within their ranks were ships crewed by enslaved species, each one carrying secret modifications courtesy of Earth's technology and the expertise of their alien allies. "All ships, execute Protocol Prometheus," Harrison commanded. Across the hegemony fleet, sabotaged systems activated. Ships thought loyal to the hegemony suddenly turned their weapons on their former masters. The Arxian crystalline computers, installed secretly over months of preparation, seized control of vital systems. Vorkath's voice turned from contempt to rage as a third of his fleet suddenly betrayed him. But the hegemony still had numbers on their side. They pressed forward, confident in their superiority. That's when humanity revealed their final weapon. Dr. Patel's quantum resonance network didn't just coordinate their ships. It transformed them into a single, synchronized organism. Valerian organic ships merged with human quantum technology moved as one, their attacks perfectly coordinated through space and time. The Cathar warrior squadrons, linked through the network, executed combat maneuvers that would have been impossible for any individual fleet. They struck weak points the hegemony didn't even know they had, using tactical data shared instantly across thousands of ships. From her position coordinating ground forces across multiple worlds, General Chen watched the space battle through tactical feeds. "Commence planetary liberation operations," she ordered. As the hegemony committed everything to space combat, their ground forces found themselves facing coordinated uprisings on every world. The hegemony's rigid command structure, once their strength, became their weakness. Unable to adapt to the chaos of fighting an enemy that seemed to think and move as one, their formations broke. Ships collided trying to execute standard protocols that no longer worked against an enemy that could predict their every move. Supreme Commander Vorkath's flagship, a massive dreadnought that had symbolized hegemony power for centuries, found itself surrounded. The quantum phase cannons, now enhanced by Arxian crystal technology, fired. The mighty vessel didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, transformed into its component atoms by weapons that rewrote physics itself. "Your civilization was built on slavery and arrogance," Harrison transmitted to the remaining hegemony forces. "You claimed to bring order, but you only brought oppression. Today that ends." The Alliance fleet moved as one, their synchronized attacks cutting through the hegemony's remaining defenses like a scalpel through flesh. Ships that survived found their quantum cores overloaded by signals from their own slave-installed systems. On Hegemony Prime itself, the great towers of the ruling council trembled. General Chen's liberation forces, comprised of warriors from every species the hegemony had enslaved, breached their defenses. The council members, who had commanded the fate of galaxies from their lofty chambers, found themselves facing justice at the hands of those they'd oppressed. As the battle ended, Admiral Harrison stood before the assembled representatives of the freed species. The great hall that had once housed hegemony tyrants now witnessed the birth of something new. "The age of the hegemony is over," he declared. "But we're not here to create a new empire. Earth remembers too well the pain of tyranny. Instead, we offer a different path. A galactic alliance, where every species has a voice, where technology serves freedom instead of oppression." The Arxian Elders' crystals pulsed with approval. Humanity showed us that true strength lies not in domination, but in unity. We stand with Earth. One by one, representatives of each species pledged themselves to the new alliance. The Valerians committed their organic ships to patrolling trade routes once dominated by hegemony warships. The Cathar promised their warriors would defend the weak instead of serving tyrants. Each species brought their own strengths, their own wisdom. Dr. Patel's quantum network became the foundation of a new galactic communication system, linking worlds and species in ways the hegemony never imagined. "We'll use it to share knowledge," she promised, "not to control." General Chen, standing with leaders from a dozen liberation armies, smiled as she watched the former slaves become allies. The hegemony thought they could break us all. Instead, they gave us a reason to stand together. As the new Galactic Alliance took shape, humanity found itself in an unexpected role. Not conquerors, not rulers, but guides. They had learned from their own bitter experience how to rise from oppression, how to fight tyranny, and most importantly, how to win without becoming the very thing they fought against. The stars above Hegemony Prime shone on a changed galaxy. The age of oppression was over. The age of cooperation, of shared strength and wisdom, had begun. And it all started because the hegemony made one fatal mistake. They thought humanity would break under their cruelty. Instead, they had forged humanity into something stronger, something that would reshape the galaxy for generations to come.